Guttersnipe, written and narrated by Jeffrey John Edwards. Giddy up, boy. Chapter 1. Deadwood, South Dakota, home of some of the ugliest, raunchiest, cold-hearted gunfighters ever to walk the earth. With little to no law and order, you could sneeze in the wrong direction and end up in a box pushing up daisies. Speaking of daisies, there she was, Annabelle Bailey. I could see her from across the room in Lawden's General Outfitting store. Annabelle was standing with her pa and little brother Flint. Both Annabelle and Flint were looking at the vanilla chocolate squares, just hoping their pa'd let them share one. "Pa, might Flint and I share a delectable vanilla chocolate delight?" "Annabelle, quiet down, darling, while Pa takes care of some business with Mr. Loudon." It broke my heart to see the girl of my dreams not get her desires fulfilled. You see, I might be only 12 years old, but my heart still galloped like a herd of wild mustangs every time I laid eyes on Annabelle. She always had such a pretty little bow in her long blonde hair. She wore the prettiest dresses and always smelled like a field of beautiful flowers on a summer's day. I didn't pay much mind to why she looked so beautiful every day, considering that her ma had passed some years ago due to an unknown illness. I would later come to know that her pa had done his best to make sure she would be a respectable young lady. I, on the other hand, was known by most folk in the town as a guttersnipe. Guttersnipe was a homeless child who roamed and slept in the streets. I can assure you that I didn't smell like a daisy basking in the morning sun. If I had to guess, it was an odor somewhere closer to a mangy dog sloshing around in a pig pen. I'd been on my own since I was 10 years old. My mom and pa were killed by a couple of Civil War defectors. Didn't take a liking to my pa's cross words. My pa was a man that stood for principle. He believed that if a man didn't stand up for what was right and honorable, then he wasn't a man worth standing. My pa wasn't a violent man, but he'd never back down from a fight between right and wrong. A Civil War man on the run was plain wrong to my pa, and by God, he was going to let him know. I knew his beliefs cost him and my ma their lives, but I was cut from the same jib. Probably end up in a fight over something similar. Even though I missed them terribly, in my mind it was the right thing to do and well worth dying for. "Well, good morning, Annabelle," a voice from the direction of the front door. "Good morning, Paxton," she replied. Paxton West was the town rich kid. Hell, town rich kid is an understatement. His pa owned most everything around these parts, or at least had a piece in it. I could see that he began to scrunch his nose, sniffing in deeply several times. "Lord, I must say, Mr. Loudon, it smells a bit like a herd of cattle meandered through not long ago." Paxton then looked my way. "Oh, my word. I'm sorry, Chance. I didn't see you smelling there." Paxton looked at me again with that half-crooked smile and corrected himself. "I mean, I didn't see you standing there." Paxton then endearingly looked over at Annabelle. "Annabelle, have you delighted in one of those vanilla chocolate treats?" Annabelle's pa jumped in before she could answer. "Paxton, that's not a luxury that we can afford at this time, son. Mr. Loudon, if you wouldn't mind, could you pick out one of your best pieces of chocolate for my darling Annabelle and another for Flint as well?" You could see that her pa was about to interrupt, but Paxton beat him to the draw. if you could also be so kind as to settle Mr. Bailey's debt with your fine establishment. Paxton, Mr. Bailey's debt is fairly sizable. Paxton snapped back. Please do as I ask, Mr. Loudon, so I don't have to get my daddy involved. Yes, Master West, as you wish. Oh, and can you throw in a bottle of your best perfume? Annabelle smiled widely at the gesture. Annabelle, I hope you don't mind if I borrow a splash or two, said Paxton. I think the Guttersnipe needs to be watered. I know if he's not freshened up, everybody's going to see what I had for lunch. I gritted my teeth because I knew he's looking for a fight. By the way, Guttersnipe, how long's it been since you ate a meal or took a bath? You must be feeling a bit weak from your own smell by now. Feeling weak? I squinted my eyes and looked directly at Paxton. Oh, your daddy's money couldn't buy you enough strength to keep me from getting a bulge on you. In fact, you keep talking. I'm gonna. Mr. Loudon abruptly cut me off mid-sentence. Chance! I think it's time you leave, he barked. I looked over at Annabelle. She had a sad look on her face. Mr. Loudon handed Annabelle the 2 chocolate squares. She immediately turned while extending her hand toward me, offering a chocolate square. Chance, please have one. I know you must be hungry. Paxton immediately reared up. But Annabelle, I bought those for you and Flint. Yes, you did, Paxton, so then wouldn't they be mine to do as I wish with? Well, yes, but then it's settled, said Annabelle. Chance, please. And again she extended her hand with the chocolate. Even if I wasn't hungry, I would have taken it just to get under Paxton's skin. I walked over by the chocolate tray and accepted the gift. I looked deep into Annabelle's eyes and said, Thank you. She looked back with a certain affection that I had not noticed before. I then followed Mr. Loudon's instruction and departed the store, but not without smirking at Paxton the entire way. It was late September, and it was getting cold, a bit too cold to be sleeping under the stairwell of the saloon. But it was all I had. I could hear someone creaking down the stairs. Chance, is that you? Yes, ma'am, it is, Miss Lulu. Lulu Devine was the madam for the gentlemen's club that resided directly above the Dead Crow Saloon. The saloon did a decent business, but nothing compared to the foot traffic of scoundrels looking for a little company and relaxation. Miss Devine never entertained the gentlemen herself, but that didn't stop all the mangy varmints from trying. Miss Devine always carried a single shot in her left leg garter and did have to use it on occasion. At least once a month the coffin maker'd get an order from the brothel, but the sheriff paid no mind because everyone from Mr. West to the sheriff was cashing in on this bonanza. Miss Devine sauntered down the stairs. She always looked at me with the sweetest eyes that were filled with kindness and affection. Miss Devine once told me that she always wanted to have some children of her own, but the business had ruined her. I wasn't quite sure what she meant, but I didn't mind considering she was the only mama that I had ever truly known. I was just too young to really remember much about my folks. I reached in my pocket and pulled out the vanilla chocolate square and gestured forward, offering it to Miss Devine. Oh, Chance, you know how much I love confections. You are the sweetest boy. Miss Devine leaned over, giving me a kiss on the cheek. I blushed a bit, knowing all those horned toads would be as jealous as a buzzard watching a coyote eating a fat jackrabbit. Miss Devine was a mature and 35 years old, but still the town buxom beauty. She could stop most men, and women for that matter, right in their tracks, if not just to take a look. The women were jealous, and the men were hoping she would offer even a few seconds of her attention. Miss Devine took the basket she was carrying and handed it to me. I immediately took the cloth off to find some hot bread. I grabbed a piece, biting off way more than I could chew. Slow down there, young feller. By the way, where did you get the money for the chocolate? You're not stealing again, are you? Miss Devine lowered her brows with a look of disapproval. Oh, no, ma'am. Annabelle gave it to me. Well, I mean, not exactly Annabelle. Paxton purchased it for her and she gave it to me. Oh, Chance, you're not tangling with that Paxton West again. You know I only have so much pull with that boy's daddy to get you out of trouble. I can handle myself, ma'am. Oh, there's no doubt about that. I just wanted to make sure you know better than to mess with that selfish young fellow. He can ruin younglings and adults by having one conversation with his daddy, even if he's not telling the truth. I know, ma'am. I'm not messing about with him. Now, you won't tell Annabelle that I shared my offering with you, would you? Miss Devine must have seen the fancy on my face for Annabelle. Why, Chance, are you smitten with that young lady? My face must have turned 20 shades of red as I blushed. Why, no, ma'am. I turned to the left a bit, scuffing my foot on the ground. Well, seeing that you're not, she'd be lucky to have you, such a tender-hearted young man. Oh, ma'am, I have nothing to offer a pretty young thing like that. Oh, I wouldn't be too sure about that, Chance. I'm set to take a bath tonight, and when I'm done, you slip in before they bring in the next customer. Just meet me at the window like always. Oh, ma'am, I don't mind bathing in the creek. It's cold as mountain spring in the dead of winter, but it does the trick. No, I won't hear of it. Every young boy needs a good scrubbing in a hot tub every now and again. Yes, ma'am. It's getting late. I have to get ready for tonight. I'll see you at the window later, Chance. Bye, Miss Devine. Thank you for the bread.